remember a couple of years ago a story about a so-called devil that works in the forests of New Jersey. Hello and welcome back. One thing I've always... Hello and welcome back. Hello and welcome back. When I first heard about the possibility of real dragons in the world, I was absolutely intrigued. I myself actually am a dragon, born May 16th, 1988. So it got me interested. I started investigating on potential dragon tales throughout the world, where I might be able to go to find real evidence of a real dragon. And then I also found out about the story of a so-called Jersey Devil. Supposedly the legend is more demonic, much more fantasy than fact. But the description is very much that of a dragon-like creature. So I'm off to the Pine Barrens of New Jersey to find evidence of the so-called Jersey Devil. So I made it to this train station. I'm going to just take the history of Hartford Union Station, and it's a nice good dang it. They say once you go train, you'll never go plane. Is a very good motto that is out there. After all, it gives you a chance to enjoy the scenery, and also it gives me a chance to actually contemplate what's about to happen. As I'm getting through my lunch and also a few other things as well, I'm reminded about the story that actually forged the so-called Jersey Devil. It's on a stormy night in 1735. Pine Barrens resident named Jane Leeds, known as Mother Leeds, had 12 children already and now was in labor with her 13th child. She said, "Let it be the devil." Then the baby was born, and then changed to have tails, wings, and hooves, and then flew up the chimney. This is where the story starts, but is this where the story is due to end? This is something that I have to ponder while I'm on the train. But before I even get to the Pine Barrens, I find myself with a little devil of my own. No, it's not the bandana constantly falling off. My aim for the train ride was Trenton, but poor conducting makes me take a wee bit of a detour. I get off in Philly. Then one thing leads to another, and then to another. I lose my helmet, my thermos, things have to be replaced, and with the help, end up getting stranded in Pemberton, so I book an inn in Lumberton with the help of my mom and Pemberton PD. Well, thanks to some screw-ups on Amtrak and a variety of other scenarios, but also thanks to a little bit of help from mom and two very nice police officers in Pemberton, I'm staying at an inn now. Amtrak, we will need to talk. But after all of that, I was able to get most of everything sorted out and was able to get to the head of the Batone Trail the next day. So I can finally start getting on with the show. Now, the best people to talk to find out any information about a cryptid is state park staff. And Nicole on the left here has said that people would say that they heard a strange noise or whatnot, although she herself has never heard anything or seen anything. But I point out to her, well, that can be anything. It can be a lot of things. Now, after all that, it's kind of time for some dinner. And I had to pack everything in, pack everything out. And I'm going to be on the trail for easily an entire week. So what would you eat in that scenario? What did people in World War II eat? What would be their dinner? Chef Boyardee. And as I cook and eat a can of a very important food throughout my childhood and a certified Boy Scouts of America mess kit, I'm reminded about the man himself, Hector Boiardi, the real Chef Boyardee, easily the most influential Italian-American ever. Enrico Fermi may have been able to end the war with his developments, but there's no way he would have been able to keep them fed, and that's what Hector Boiardi did with his product. Able to store it and contain it for decades is what the World War II soldiers needed. For more information on Chef Boyardee, click the video here by the company man, and be sure to tell him I sent you. I decided to bed down for the night and consider what I have learned so far. All that I can say for sure, and start the expedition in the morning. And I have some curious aspects of what it could be. I'm going to actually be starting the Batona Trail right now. But from what I've been hearing, mostly what people say is they just heard strange noises. Now, I heard a strange noise last night, but again, it was just a bird, probably looking for love. Strange noises can be anything. Cougar, even, in theory, at least. Coyotes. Wolves as well can do some odd noises, although those kind of have not really been seen around here for quite some time. And they have been somewhat extirpated officially. And unlike cats, they have difficulty repopulating areas that they have been extirpated. But there's also a creature called a coy wolf, which is a coyote-wolf hybrid. So, just saying that they hear strange noises so far, to me, can mean anything. So let's go over the suspects. You have Satan bewitching Mother Leeds, dragon, Sasquatch, bear, wolf, coyote, coy wolves, and also a species called a teratorn, which is a condor-like bird, but grew almost 6 feet tall from head to toe and had a wingspan of over 20 feet. With each of those in mind, I start to head down the Batona Trail, and so I enter the Franklin Parker Reserve. It's sluggy, it's sluggish, but I slowly work my way through the Batona Trail. But as time goes on, I get more and more dehydrated, and I get a little bit tired each time, and I still see mostly nothing. So I decide to head into Chatsworth to restock up on water and to get some food. So after about 4 hours of hiking on the Batona Trail, I am taking a pit stop in this little podunk town, so to speak. Chatsworth, a former railhead town that is now just a place where you can get some hot dogs and some rehydration aspects. But it's here that they mention some of the aspects of what is being seen. They claim that they see those eyes, which should just be eye shine. But that is something that is shown by a variety of animals throughout the animal kingdom. And as you're seeing in these next few clips provided to us by Big Cat Rescue, a variety of animals actually have the so-called tapetum lucidum. We have a serval, and as you've seen, a cougar, and now we got a bobcat coming up. Ooh, it's got attitude. But also tigers, wolves, a variety of animals have this. This allows them to see far better at night than normally would be allowed for a dichromate. For more information on the tapetum lucidum, click the video by BrainStuff at HowStuffWorks.com and tell them I sent you. As I head on back to get back on the Batona Trail, I'm picked up by a local scoutmaster, who also happens to be a local historian, who describes a more plausible explanation on the origin story behind the Jersey Devil, the so-called Leeds Devil. In the early 17th century, going all the way up into the early part of the 19th century, you have this new concept called the almanac, thanks to the printing press. With that, you have the ability to have proper astrological and astronomical signs in printed form that are pretty darn accurate throughout large portions of history, and also predictions of where those scenarios should be in the future. And you also use it to predict potential weather events as well. But it's also used to predict the births and deaths of individuals. This also had rivalries among the almanac printers. In this case, the Leeds family, mainly Titan Leeds, had his father's almanac business. But also, it eventually found itself in competition with the famous Poor Richard's Almanac by Benjamin Franklin. Now, Benjamin Franklin predicted the death of Titan Leeds, and when the prediction turned out to be not true, as he survived that particular date, Benjamin Franklin found himself in a wee bit of a quandary. He had to explain the fact that his main competitor's death turned out to be not true. So he claims it must have been the work of the devil, which, keep in mind, at the time, witchcraft was a very real superstition. Now, the Leeds family crest had on it what is known as a wyvern, which is a bat-like dragon creature, but it has 4 limbs, and instead of arms, it has wings, whereas a mountain dragon has 6 limbs, 4 legs, and 2 wings coming out of the back. As you can probably guess, this did not help Travis Leeds when Benjamin Franklin's prediction proved wrong and subsequently was accused of being a devil. So as I pull into the Batona camp, let's go over the suspects. As much as I like a good ghost story, we're going to have to count this one out as the creature that is being seen. As I continue the car ride, the historian mentions the use of the fact that all this area was once cranberry bogs and still is occasionally used for that purpose. So I roll into the Batona camp. After over 5 hours on the trail in the car, I decided to take a pee. And after 2 days of wearing the exact same getup, I decided it's time for a new getup. Couple new days, new look, and got an interesting new wardrobe. If anyone is interested in some merch, hit me up. Nothing major that happens tonight, so I head out for the Lower Forge Trail. So after about 5 hours, still haven't seen anything, and now I've basically just been using the bicycle as a makeshift travois. When I make it to the Lower Forge Trail, this guy decides to greet me, and I decide to get some water as well. When I go there, I find a potential new suspect to explain the Jersey Devil. The very water itself, as they say, something in the water. Here is me trying to get some water out of the river in slow-mo. Now, it may be somewhat tanned red, but that's just iron and cedar tannins. That's perfectly safe to drink, and it's a very fast-flowing river. So the chances of giardia are pretty slim. That said, all this water is being consumed, whether through direct drinking or through watering the cranberry bogs or general farm scenarios. And all that iron and cedar tannins will start to add up and eventually will enter your bloodstream. And that volume of iron might not be good for you. And you get sort of naturally drunk. Say like equivalent of a 0.04 or so. So let's go over the suspects again. Dragon, Sasquatch, cougar, bear, wolf, coyote, coy wolf, Territorn, and now something in the water, and you get sort of naturally drunk. After leaving the Lower Forge camp, I realized I've got a flat tire and a potential need for some new gear as well. So I head down to Bastow with the attempt of trying to get into town to restock about supplies and get myself to the next camp. So I'm in town to restock about a few minor supplies that I needed to get. I'm staying 2 nights in the next camp, and I plan to sort of talk to some of the people in Bastow Village for some more context on the Jersey Devil. With my bike repaired and properly restocked up on supplies, I decided to walk around, but I also decided to head into Bastow. So I'm here in historic Bastow Village, and this is where large quantities of iron ore were mined, used in both the Civil War as well as large portions of U.S. history. It's now since long been abandoned. But again, going on my hypothesis that it's the iron combined with the cranberries and a variety of other scenarios that could be the clue to the Jersey Devil. I'm gonna have a look around here. Now, Bastow is a mining town by definition. They're trying to extract iron from the local area. But the difference here is that it's coming directly from the water in the form of iron oxide. And then through a variety of other chemical processes, you get out the oxygen for as much iron that you need. This iron would go on to supply the Continental Army as well as the Union Army for their cannonballs and cannon barrels in the Civil War. Bronze was used in the Revolutionary War. With that in mind, I head to the final destination on the expedition, up the Washington Turnpike. So after several days in the woods, I finally get to the final spot at Bass River State Park, and I think it's time to take a shower. And after that, new wardrobe. Thanks to Inspector Planet, aka Dr. Tracy Fanara. Be sure to check her out, and maybe I might be talking to her about some of the findings on this expedition. While in Bass River State Park, I head out on a final hike to see any new evidence. But while doing this, I start to ponder something. So after I've been going through the Pine Barrens for a couple of days, I'm noticing something that I previously overlooked. The fact is, these trees are not very close together, but relatively speaking close together. And this raises an issue with powered flight. In order for you to be able to fly, your wingspan has to be proportional to your overall size unless you're using specialized techniques. The max I could see a powered flight animal of any variety using any type of scenarios, whether it's hydrogen flight bladders or anything like that, is about 10 feet or so in this, relatively speaking, thick wood. The minimum you're going to need is upwards of 15 feet wingspan to fly for something of my size. And that's using some of the most abject powered flight apparatus you could possibly think of. And realistically, what you need is upwards of 30 some odd feet. You're not flying a 30-foot wingspan anything in this type of wood. So this actually raises the question, if it can fly, how's it gonna do it? Even with, say, hydrogen flight bladders in this thick wood. And this is ignoring the notorious gremlin that I got in the woods with the concept of 10% production efficiency. This is the concept that only 10% of energy can go up to one trophic level. For more information, click the link by the teacher's pet in the video here. So, as I prepare my last meal in the Pine Barrens, I realize that although I've never seen a formal creature, and actually I have more questions than I have answers, I realize that there's plenty to unpack from this expedition. And I'm going to have to unpack them back home in a variety of labs with the samples I've taken and talk to a variety of experts. Meantime, dinner time. And some more Chef Boyardee. After sleeping off the last meal, I ride into Bass River to catch the bus to go to Atlantic City. And then from Atlantic City, I catch the tram to Philly, and then Amtrak to home. And while this is all going on, I consider the suspects, all of them. Sasquatch, dragons, coy wolves, bears, coyotes. But I think the real scenario at this point is something that just might be the case. The fact that it's late at night, you have been drinking a bunch of cranberry juice, eating a bunch of cranberries, and drinking the local water, all with a high volume of iron and cedar tannins. And with that, it's late at night, you see the Tapetum lucidum, and you're a little bit out of it, and you hear some, I don't know, raccoons fighting in the distance, and you just assume it's the devil, just because you're a little bit out of it. I follow up my investigation with some experts. In this case, Brian Loudon from the Mythbusters, and he confirms that this volume of iron can be potentially dangerous, and as well as the cedar tannins. All of his links are in the description. Be sure to check them out and tell him I sent you. Although the expedition was a bit of a bust in terms of finding any new animals, I do believe I found an explanation for this Frankenstein monster. You have a Frankenstein set of situations. It's late at night, you've been drinking the local water and potentially eating the cranberries that again have been watered with the local water that are high in iron, high in cedar tannins. So you're a little bit out of it. Then you see in the distance the tapetum lucidum, a standard run-of-the-mill animal. You hear something odd, say the sound of a couple raccoons fighting, and then in the distance you see sort of an egret. You have all this Frankenstein scenario to explain this Frankenstein monster. Now, I won't rule out the fact that Sasquatch, as well as the occasional dragon, might have been in there at one time. But for the vast majority of Jersey Devil sightings, it's pretty clear it comes down to the water and the overall geology of the Pine Barrens as a whole. I'd like to give a special thanks to these people here. Thanks for watching. If you like what I do here, please subscribe to my channel. And be sure to click the bell button so you don't miss any new videos. And while you're at it, please consider subscribing to my other channel here, where I do a bit of a behind the scenes look at who I am, what I like to do in my free time when I'm not making videos. Those about cryptozoology. Thanks.